Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Buck here, and I'm just gonna admit right off the bat, this is my first vlog, so bear with me. It's a little unpolished, but here I'm gonna jump right into the content. I'm gonna talk about febrile seizures and little business growth. So thanks for tuning in to my first vlog.
Hey, thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. I know the regular crowd was expecting a PTU Ford Edge video, and unfortunately that is not going to happen because last night Bethany and I, we were at Bible study and we were talking about this with the group, that the one thing in life that we know is going to happen is, trials and struggles are going to come. And we had ours. We woke up this morning at 1:45 to our oldest daughter having her second febrile seizure, which was kind of, it's a hard thing to see a girl who's almost 3 going into that, and really, as a parent, it scares the heck out of you. And, since it was our first one, or our second one, our first one was back in February, our doctors kind of told us that we might have to expect this again. And because, I was somewhat prepared, maybe I was a little more level-headed than Bethany in this deal, but unfortunately it was still freaky. I was somewhat comfortable with what the doctors told us last time we had a febrile seizure, and that, ultimately they said she was safe and this wasn't something that was a threatening deal to her, even though it was freaky. And so I felt like I was able to kind of keep my cool last night. But still, when you see just your child going through something like that, febrile seizures, it's freaky. It's brought on by a spike in fever really quick, and the toddler, or actually can happen up to kids like 5 and 6 years old, they say. But it's somewhat traumatic to watch your kid just sitting there shaking and not being able to just help them out of their situation. And so I've been meaning to put out more content, and really I think the time is now just to put videos out that help to kind of, really there's 3 reasons I want to put videos out. I feel like it helps me learn content better when I have to then share what I'm learning. B, I want to put videos out so that my children and my family, that they can come back and look at it, and it's just a log that hopefully never goes away. And the third, the C reason, would be, hopefully one of these videos can help inspire somebody else to not see life as mediocre, but really to know that God ultimately has a best life in store for everyone. And I think we live in an age of opportunity where ultimately our only excuses are for not accomplishing crazy mighty things are laziness and a lack of effort. We'd rather spend hours binging on Netflix than either growing ourselves, adding more value to our organizations that we work for, or adding value to the people around us. And hopefully this video hits all 3 of those things. I want to add value to your guys' lives, and hopefully if it does, then I'll feel like this is a success. It is somewhat awkward to get out here and make videos, but I think that if I can add value to somebody else's life, then it's all worth it. And hopefully, maybe someday this might be for my girl's sake, or for your sake. And to a certain degree, it's for my sake. And so without further ado, I'll just kind of jump into a few things that this week I felt like really helped grow me. So the first bit of content I watched this week, or rather listened to, as I was at the gym that made an impact was Zig Ziglar. It was just somebody's video on YouTube. I'll show a picture here of it and link to it in the description. One of the big takeaways I got from that was, and he said it several times, was you can get anything in life you want as long as you just help enough people get what they want. And I thought that was really well put, because I mean, ultimately, I think when we do business well, we do it in a way that we're others focused rather than us focused, and helping enough people. Dave Ramsey says their goal at like Ramsey Solutions is, as long as they help enough people, they don't have to worry about money. And I think there's something to that, and like actually aiming to fill a need and to help people is ultimately the goal of business. And I think that's sometimes people lose that, that aren't striving to get better. And the second thing I thought was quite compelling was he shared a story about a kid overcoming cerebral palsy, and it was basically the story of the parents' dedication to not settle for just the box that doctors were putting their kid into, and telling the parents that they should just admit the kid to an institution. And the parents weren't just buying that information, because the dad said he was a seller of information, not a buyer, and a seller of stuff, and so a seller of ideas. And so they went on and like ended up, this kid that was never gonna talk or walk or count to 10, ended up just becoming like a phenomenal athlete and was able to walk. And it was quite a compelling story. If you like this interests you at all, go back and listen to it. So the second bit of information came from Gary Vee. I watched a vlog of his that it was like over an hour long. I think it was number 314, and he was going into really just like some of the successes of like entrepreneurs, and how ultimately like failure is a part of business, and the entrepreneur isn't afraid of failure. And that is quite I think it's an important idea, because the people that fail in business and then keep going and trying again, what he said was, man, he might go 3 for 17, fail 14 times, and if you're just looking at like failures as strict failures, like that might kill you. You might not get back up again, but those 3 times of actually like hitting it might, if you go 3 for 17, might be worth all of the times he misses. And he used examples of like Facebook, and how Zuckerberg or whatever bought Instagram for $1 billion, and how that was like a steal of a deal, right? And I mean, now you can look at Instagram and you're like, holy moly, like he only got that for $1 billion. It's like, yeah, that was one heck of a purchase. But there's all these other things they probably have bought along the way which haven't quite panned out, but Instagram's probably made up for it. And so I thought that was a really practical, real world example of like big business doing what he's talking about, like having that entrepreneurial mindset and not just settling. And if you fail once and you're not growing, and he brought up how Twitter has been really stagnant like the last 4 years. There's been like no development, no growth in Twitter. I mean, other than maybe like some aesthetical changes. And but Facebook and Instagram, they're constantly, there's innovation there, and like that's why they've taken off, and Twitter's kind of like been left in the dust a little. Yeah, he also talked about like Jeff Bezos and Amazon, and how they've really done some remarkable work there, and like the sky's the limit right now for Amazon. And I thought that was interesting, because I really wasn't surprised when Amazon bought Whole Foods. I thought that was a normal purchase that like, yep, makes sense. And as Gary Vee said, and I was in the same boat. I mean, when I saw Amazon bought Whole Foods, which actually, believe it or not, was a shareholder in Whole Foods. So when I saw that Whole Foods was bought by Amazon, I really wasn't surprised. It made a lot of sense to me. And so um, yeah, the Gary V podcast, or not podcast, but vlog. I've just recently started following it. He can come off a little lewd as he's talking about certain concepts, but I think, at the heart of some of the stuff he's bringing up, he brings up good points. The last bit of content I absorbed this week, which I thought was like really valuable, was John Maxwell, and that was an Evan Carmichael like top 10. I don't know how recent it was. I think it might even be a couple years old, but top 10. And I think it was even his point number 5, but it was like he was talking about John Maxwell's like the daily 5 things. It was actually a video John Maxwell talking about, but he does 5 things every day. He reads, he files. He reads, he files, he asks questions, he writes, and he learns, I think. Reads, writes, learns, asks questions. Anyways, so he does these 5 things every day. And what prompted that was people asked, like, well, Maxwell, how do you write 72 books? And he uses, like, these 5 things he does every day to, tackle that. And, like, he writes a little bit every day, 7 days a week. Every day he writes a little bit. And how that, like, becomes practical in my life is these 5 things every day of his life. It might not be in that order, but he always finds room to do those 5 things. And he uses the example of, like, chopping down a tree, and how when you try to block out, like, amounts of time to, like, go do something, you might not get it accomplished, and you'll feel like a failure if you don't get it done. And he says, but that's the thing, if you go and swing an axe 5 times at a tree every day until the tree falls, eventually you're going to get through and knock that tree down. And I thought that was a very compelling point, because we just take for granted, like, taking baby steps, I think. And so I saw great value in what Maxwell was bringing out there, and how that, like, in my life, how doing things on a daily basis and identifying myself in certain things can help develop me. And, like, I mean, obviously, like, I like absorbing content that I feel like develops me and makes me a person that adds more value. And another thing I want to do every day is I want to exercise, because personally, right now I'm working in a job where I am a laborer, and I need to be able to, like, use my entire body. And I have a history of a bad shoulder, and so, like, but what I found out is over the years, and I think I've dislocated it like 7 times, and, like, each time that's happened, it's come after a period of not exercising regularly and making it a habit. And so, like, ultimately, like, these things I'm, like, trying to incorporate into my life need to be daily habits and just part of my identity. Otherwise, you'll get out of the routine of doing things, and you'll go long periods, and you'll start to feel a little guilt about not getting them done. And so that's why, like, I think the Maxwell point, like, hit home pretty well, because it's like, yeah, I need to be, every day, I need to be working on my business, I need to be working on my fitness, I need to be working on my time with Jesus. And I mean, these things, like, I don't know what all 5 of those are just yet, but I'm, like, working on it. And but doing all 5 of these things, I can see, like, how they'll pay huge dividends in developing me, and, like, into being the dad and husband and friend and hopefully person that adds value to other people's lives that I want to be, and not just settling for mediocre. And which is fine. Like, some people want that, just to work 9 to 5 and go play, a basketball league after work, and that, like, they feel fulfillment out of that. But ultimately, like, I'm a little more, I have a little higher aspirations than that, I suppose. And so yeah, hopefully this video log can help you guys out, and yeah, help my kids and help my friends and family and whoever really uh, wants to follow along in this journey that I'm taking. But yeah, I mean, I'll be discussing different things and as often as I can, I guess, and trying to add value to your guys' life and show a little perspective on things. And yeah. Hey guys, and if you have any history with the febrile seizure, please throw a comment down below and just kind of tell me like a little bit about your story, or if you have any insights I'm missing, please let me know down in the comments. And I hope this video helped add value to you guys' lives today, and yeah, I'll see you next time.